Imagine stepping off a grueling 9-hour flight, a red-eye.
Yeah, the absolute worst.
Right. Your internal clock is completely shattered. The cabin air has just dried you out.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of heading to a hotel to crash, to just get a quick nap, you walk straight into a foreign boardroom and you have to pitch the entire economic future of your country.
No pressure, right.
Exactly. No sterile spreadsheets, just sheer physical stamina.
It really shatters the illusion that international diplomacy is just, algorithms and automated capital flows.
Yeah.
Today, we are looking at a primary source document that proves foreign direct investment isn't just a math equation. It's a physical marathon.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are taking a magnifying glass to a really passionate, first-hand account of an international diplomatic trip to Korea.
Right.
And this trip was undertaken by Ghana's John Dramani Mahama. The author of this text was actually in the room watching this play out.
Which gives us such a unique perspective.
It really does. Their account is it's a masterclass in how leadership and endurance intertwine to build this grand economic vision.
And the overarching mission of this deep dive for you listening today is to deconstruct the actual mechanics of economic diplomacy.
Because we throw that term around a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly. We say things like foreign direct investment or FDI without stopping to think about how it actually happens on the ground.
Right.
FDI isn't just a foreign bank wiring money or, someone buying foreign stocks on an app.
No, it's physical. It involves a multinational corporation physically building plants.
Hiring local workers.
Yeah, taking on massive operational risk
Right.
inside another country's borders and convincing them to take that risk. That requires incredible strategic maneuvering.
But before we really get into the weeds of how that maneuvering works, we do need to establish a very clear ground rule for today's discussion.
Yes, absolutely. The source material we're working from today is, it's deeply laudatory.
Very much so.
It is a highly passionate, politically supportive text. I mean, the author literally concludes the account by declaring that the president has won their heart and the hearts of all Ghanaians.
The framing is unmistakable. And we should be completely transparent with you, the listener, that our goal today is not to endorse or validate or debate the political viewpoints or the praises sung in this text.
Right. We are not taking a political side here.
Not at all. We are analyzing this document purely to understand the author's fascinating construction of these events.
We want to look at the mechanics of the narrative itself. How does the author define leadership? How do they define sacrifice?
And what specific strategies they outline for securing this foreign direct investment.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's jump straight into that physical marathon.
Let's do it.
Because before the author even touches on the business strategies or the diverse sectors they targeted, they place this massive, inescapable emphasis on the physical conditions of the trip.
The exhaustion.
Right. We are talking about a 9-hour journey to Korea. And the text specifically notes that the schedule allowed for, quote, almost no rest.
What's fascinating here is why the author highlights this fatigue so prominently.
Because normally they wouldn't, right?
Exactly. In a standard, dry diplomatic press release, the physical state of the delegation is entirely irrelevant.
You usually just get, a bulleted list of who shook hands with whom.
Right. But here, the author makes exhaustion the central pillar of the narrative. They write, even in his fatigue, he did not stop.
It paints this picture of a leader physically carrying the weight of the economy, just fighting through jet lag because the stakes are simply too high to take a nap.
And taking that a step further, the author isn't just mentioning the fatigue to, garner sympathy. No. If we look at this through the lens of game theory, what we are actually seeing is a concept called costly signaling.
Costly signaling. I love that. Tell us more about that.
Well, in any negotiation, talk is cheap.
Right.
Anyone can walk into a boardroom and say they are committed to a partnership. But costly signaling involves taking an action that requires a genuine, visible sacrifice.
Something a less committed person simply wouldn't do.
Precisely. By showing up to these high-stakes meetings visibly exhausted, yet refusing to cancel or postpone, the leader is sending a really powerful unspoken message to these foreign investors.
The message being, basically, I have skin in the game. I am literally sacrificing my own physical well-being to be at this table with you.
Yeah. And the author uses that fatigue as a direct metric for dedication. They explicitly link his refusal to rest directly to his commitment to the nation.
I think the quote was, he did not slow down, he did not step back. Instead, he leaned in.
Yes. That specific phrase leaned in it transforms a standard business meeting into a test of moral stamina.
Wow.
This costly signal builds immediate, deep trust with foreign executives because they need to know the host country's leadership is deadly serious before they risk billions of dollars in capital.
That makes total sense. But let's look at the actual strategy executed under that cloud of exhaustion.
Oh, okay.
Because once they are on the ground in Korea, operating on zero sleep,
Yeah.
they don't just open the doors and let every single interested party in.
Right. It wasn't a free-for-all.
No. There is a highly curated strategy at play. The author notes that among the many companies and individuals they had met over time, they carefully selected exactly 10.
10. Narrowing an entire industrialized powerhouse like Korea down to 10 specific entities is a fascinating constraint.
Yeah.
And the text notes, this was a mix, right? Some were companies preparing to enter Ghana, and others were already operating there.
Now, I have to push back on this strategy from a purely practical standpoint.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Think about the reality we just established. The leader is exhausted. The schedule is packed. Time is incredibly tight.
Right?
Operating under those extreme constraints, wouldn't it make more sense to just go after the one or two biggest corporate whales?
Just swing for the fences.
Exactly. Why not find the absolute massive multi-billion-dollar infrastructure giant, secure one headline-grabbing mega deal, and then just go to sleep?
It is tempting.
Right. Diluting your limited energy across 10 different companies just seems kind of counterintuitive.
Well, going after the single massive win is a classic temptation in economic development. But the author emphasizes a crucial detail here.
Which is?
These 10 companies were chosen because they represented diverse sectors. The text explicitly states because Ghana's future cannot depend on one industry alone.
Okay. So it's like managing your own retirement portfolio.
Yes, exactly.
Like if you put your entire life savings into a single massive tech stock because it's doing great right now, you might see huge short-term gains.
But if that specific sector crashes...
Your entire future is wiped out. You diversify into index funds, bonds, real estate, so that if one area struggles, the whole ecosystem of your wealth still survives.
That portfolio analogy maps perfectly onto macroeconomics. Relying on a single whale or a single industry creates profound national vulnerability.
We've seen that historically, right?
Oh, constantly. With nations that rely solely on oil exports or a single agricultural cash crop, if the global price of that one commodity drops, the entire national economy goes into a tailspin.
So even in a state of sheer exhaustion, the strategy dictates laying multiple different foundation stones rather than just building one giant pillar.
Precisely. And furthermore, bringing in both new companies, the ones preparing to enter, and existing companies already operating there.
Right, the mix.
Yeah, that demonstrates a very sophisticated dual approach to FDI, because securing new capital is only half the battle.
You have to keep the ones you already have.
Exactly. Retaining and expanding the capital that is already taking operational risk inside your borders is just as vital.
Because it shows other foreign investors that companies don't just enter your country, they actually thrive and choose to expand there.
Spot on.
But, active curation is really only the first step. Here's where it gets really interesting.
The meetings themselves.
Yes. The way these meetings were actually conducted is where the narrative introduces a major shift in how we usually think about diplomacy.
Right.
The text makes a specific point to say that he met them one by one, not as a formality, but with intention.
Doing 10 sequential, high-stakes, one-on-one meetings when you are sleep-deprived.
Oh.
That is a phenomenal cognitive load.
It really is. I mean, it's the difference between attending a massive, loud networking event.
Oh, like corporate speed dating.
Exactly. Where you are just handing out business cards and delivering a rehearsed 30-second elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Contrast that with a deep, intentional partnership interview. In one scenario, you're just trying to be seen. In the other, you're sitting across from someone really trying to figure out if you have long-term compatibility.
And the author details the mechanics of those one-on-one sessions perfectly. They note, despite the exhaustion, he listened closely. He asked thoughtful, specific questions.
Which, active listening when you were running on empty, that is arguably much harder than talking.
Oh, absolutely.
You can deliver a memorized pitch on autopilot. But listening requires you to process new information, synthesize it on the fly, and formulate a relevant response.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the author reveals the ultimate goal of all that active listening.
Which was?
They write, he sought to understand Not just what they do, but how they can grow with Ghana.
Grow with Ghana. Let's challenge that concept for a second.
Okay.
Because Grow with Ghana sounds incredible on a glossy diplomatic brochure. It implies this beautiful symbiotic two-way street.
Right.
But in reality, multinational corporations answer to their shareholders, not to the citizens of the host country. Their primary legal obligation is to maximize profit.
Always.
So how does a leader sitting in a room in Korea actually engineer a situation that forces a foreign multinational to genuinely care about local domestic growth?
Overcoming that exact friction is the true art of economic diplomacy. Because historically, foreign investment in developing nations has often been highly extractive.
Meaning they just take what they want.
Exactly. A foreign entity arrives, extracts raw materials or utilizes cheap labor, and then exports all the profits back to their home country.
Right.
So to force a shift from an extractive model to a symbiotic grow with Ghana model, the leader has to align the corporation's profit motive with the host nation's developmental goals.
So what does that alignment actually look like mechanically?
It happens through the negotiation of joint ventures, tech transfer agreements, and local sourcing requirements.
Okay.
In that boardroom, the leader isn't just asking for money. They are structuring the deal so that the foreign company gets, say, better tax incentives or market access, but only if they agree to train a local workforce to manage the facilities.
Oh, I see.
You ensure that for the Korean company to reach its absolute highest profit margins, it must integrate into the local supply chain rather than just importing everything.
You literally construct a scenario where their most profitable path requires local thriving.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And the author equates this highly technical, grueling alignment process directly with the concept of leadership itself.
Yes.
They write, in that room, you could feel it. This was economic diplomacy. This was leadership.
The narrative basically redefines economic diplomacy here. It isn't just signing a memorandum of understanding on a stage for a photo op.
Right.
It's an energetic, almost emotional exchange in a closed room built on forcing mutual understanding through sincere listening.
But, active listening in a vacuum doesn't build a power grid.
No, it doesn't.
So how do those 10 isolated conversations in Korea actually translate to physical infrastructure on the ground?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because the text doesn't just leave the narrative in that boardroom. It pivots hard to the ultimate overarching goal of this entire trip.
The 24-hour economy.
Yes, building a 24-hour economy. So what does this all mean?
Well, the author anchors all of this micro-level effort in Korea to that massive macro-level vision back home. And they are very careful to defend it, stating it is, quote, not as a slogan, but as a real living future for the people of Ghana.
A 24-hour economy is a monumental logistical undertaking. I mean, it implies cities that never stop.
Yeah, industries running night shifts.
Infrastructure that supports round-the-clock safety, lighting, transport. How exactly do those curated meetings with 10 diverse companies functionally create a 24-hour machine?
This is where the causal chain of that diverse sector strategy we talked about fully reveals itself.
Okay.
A 24-hour economy doesn't just manifest because a government passes a law saying businesses are allowed to stay open late.
Right, you can't just flip a switch.
Exactly. It requires a synchronous